I think we're live.
I think
How's
so
my
too.
audio, Jay? Is it good?
It's good. It's good.
Yeah. I've got the late night DJ voice.
Right? I'd call it something else. Gentlemen's Club's voice.
And to the
And
stage.
right,
All right.
Candy.
So, again to the stage. All right. So, welcome to Contractors Corner. I'm Adrian Park. Again, with me again today is founder of Contractor AI and Jay Carter Roofing. So, Bruce Wayne had a bat cave. Jay had his parents' basement.
It's true.
He's proof that not all heroes wear capes, or does he? I'm not saying he's Batman, but have you ever seen the two of them in the same room? With me today, John Carter, but you can call him Jay.
These are getting
All right.
hilarious.
All right, Batman. So, or should I call you the Dark Knight?
Yeah.
Just don't do the Christian Bale voice.
Right?
so, ah, so, all right. So we're gonna get into this. It's that time of year when it's still winter, but little things are starting to pop, especially if you are an exterior trade like I was, like you are. So, people are starting to wake up a little bit, starting to get calls, but it's still a little bit dry because it's the middle of winter. So we're going to talk about marketing a little bit, but more about like not just like trying to like fix like feed the starving thing right now, but rather, how can we help folks for the year? But before we get to that, I thought maybe we could share, you and me both, a couple of ways that we've done it. Well, fails. Some of our marketing fails.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I've got a couple that are borderline to very embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing with 25 years in the game, you've got a couple too. So
Hey,
I'm going to
hey,
throw it to you
23,
first.
23. I'm not that old.
Sorry, 23. So if you go first and share
Okay.
an embarrassing or silly,
Yeah.
marketing fail, and then I'll tell them myself.
Okay, so I've got a couple. Actually, I got more than a couple, and embarrassing at that. So, marking fail number one, I would say I'll go all the way back to when I first started my business. And
Okay.
I thought it would be a really good idea and it would be super efficient for me to hand deliver door knockers. Door knockers. The
Door
problem,
knockers like
yeah.
on
So
the that you
yeah,
would
so
put on the door.
like
Oh,
I created a mailer that went out to all the,
uh-huh.
but instead of like getting it mailed, instead of
Yeah.
paying the 25 cents for the stamp, I went and hand delivered thousands of them myself. Here's where I failed. I printed them at
Okay.
home on my dot matrix printer.
Dot
Um,
matrix. Yeah.
I failed to understand copy, and in the copy there was a number of spelling errors. So
Of course there was.
if and with no graphics, no nothing, so people would call me, and not just
Mhm.
for a number of other reasons, but like the calls that I got, majority of them were to tell me about all my spelling mistakes, but they weren't interested in what I was roofing. So I dedicated 4 weeks to delivering those
Wow.
thousands of mailers. So
Yeah.
it was a pretty big fail. Then I had another one, and this one's really embarrassing. So we all know those like callers that call you and try and sell you things over the phone, like the marketer
Sure.
guys.
Yeah.
Some of them are
Telemarketer. Yeah.
really good. So there was this company that got me not once, not twice, but 3 times. So he
Okay.
would call me up, and he was just smooth on the phone, dude. Like I don't know what to say. Like I got caught every time where he'd tell me about the smoking deal he has, how great of a deal it was, and like I was missing out. The first
Yeah.
time he got me for 1,000 pens, received the
Okay.
pens, right, all
Yeah.
branded. So it was again kind of back in the day.
Nice.
Um, the inks didn't work; they're all dried out. I have those pens today. Like couldn't hand them out to anybody, and thought shame on me. And he told me I was getting a smoking deal, $5
Yeah.
a pen. So do the math, 5 grand for pens. Go to find out
Wow.
that hey, you know what? That was quite the loss. But
Wow.
hey, next time he called me, he gave me a deal to make up for the pens,
Right.
and I bid on it again, and this time it was fillet knives, fishing knives.
O- Okay.
Um, and these fishing knives were apparently imported fine teak, and were really like for all my customers. Most of my customers were fishing. Like his whole pitch was just so good, and I was like, no,
Yeah.
this must have gone on for an hour. Okay, and I don't know why I didn't just hang up. I don't know what was
Right.
going on with my self
Right.
confidence that day, but he wore me down. I bought his fucking fillet knives. Get
How
the
many did
fillet
you buy?
knives. 1,000 fillet knives.
Oh, wow. Good
Right.
God.
And at that point in my career, though, I didn't know the difference between brand marketing and direct response. I'm thinking, yeah, I'll give
Okay.
these out to my customers and they'll love them. And I'd had success with the cookies and all that stuff. So I was like, sure,
Right.
giving out a fillet knife is perfectly
Yeah. High
normal and
value.
accepted. Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Get the fillet knives. And the first people we gave them to were our own guys that happen to be fishermen and stuff. And the first comments I got back was the fillet knives broke in their hand. The handles broken off their. Oh, it was like no way I got screwed twice. But yeah, so we come to find out that everything this company was actually selling was defective product, and we were getting them branded in our name and then handing out defective knives to customers, which was not a very bright move. So that
Not
was
a good way
the
to attract customers.
another very expensive
Yeah.
marketing branding lesson, and I remember like really like I felt very taken advantage of, and I knew I'd been. And at that point, I was like, we're gonna hang off doing that for a while. And that was actually a mistake because there's a time and place for things, but buying them off some smooth talker on a phone is probably not the best idea.
That's repurposing defective products and
Yeah.
sticking your name on them.
So the most recent debacle in marketing for me, and again, I'm rather embarrassed about it.
So you're in the trifecta today.
Yeah, that
Like,
was like
okay.
beginning, middle, then now
Okay. Talk to
recently.
me. Let's hear this one.
I ran $6,500 in ad spend, not realizing that the landing page I had sent it to was not correct. So the landing page actually gave a 404 error to everyone that I ran the ads to, and it dropped my ranking in ad spend and everything. But it like we spend big money on ads, but just a silly mistake like that, and I'm running these campaigns wondering where am I, like it must be slow, and it took me 2 weeks to realize that I had the wrong landing page on the
Ouch.
page, and it was actually somebody that reached out to me that was like, hey, did you know that your
Hey,
landing
by the
page is not
way.
working? Yeah. So again, mistakes happen at all levels, and it's funny because when we're doing ads for clients, we have double checks. So like not just me, because you should never do that. If you're doing your own ads, have somebody else check all the features, everything else. When it comes to your own stuff, it's like the mechanic in
Right.
their own car, right?
Right.
Here we go. We just skip that whole step, and again, the stupidity of it all, and like it hurts because it's not just the
Yeah.
$6,500; it's the drop in lead flow for our sales team.
Right.
So I wasn't too proud of myself explaining that to the team, and like they're like, hey, like we haven't got any Google leads for a week or two. I'm like, what's something going on? I'm like, what is something going on? They're like, that's
Yeah, what
unusual.
is
Like with
going on?
3 a day, 4 a day to none. Like, yeah, something must be a little off. And sure enough, go through it and I get a message and yeah, did you know your landing page not working? No way. So that's again that stuff when you're doing your own stuff, it can happen. That's it. So like all those mistakes you can see are pretty costly and embarrassing. But
Yeah.
it does happen when you are. Now, again, I have as many credits to wins as I do losses. So I hopefully more wins rather, but it happens.
Knock on
And it's
wood, yeah.
something that everybody at one point or another when they're running a business can make a mistake on. And I've heard a lot worse than those ones. So I'd love to hear what you have.
Well, so in 2017 we had a really rough year, and I carried a lot of the substantial responsibility for that rough year. Um, and I mean, we lost, like, I think I've said this before, close to $600,000. It's like substantial. And we weren't doing like 10 million. We did like 1.4 or something that year.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was an ouch. So there was a lot of pressure on me as the new and younger CEO to figure this out, because and there was nobody else coming with like any substantial solutions.
Right.
So, being the student of life and business that I am, I had been listening to stuff that I was trying to learn, and kind of cut that learning curve. Anyway, I had been listening to a lot of Chet Holmes,
Mm.
who's the sort of sales, for people who don't know Chet Holmes passed away sadly a little more than 10 years ago, but up until the early 2010s, like he was like what Jeremy Minor
Yeah.
is today. Like he was the
Yeah.
sales guy for about a decade in business. Everybody was listening and reading Chet Holmes. And because he's really good, like his stuff is great. So I was reading a lot of Chet Holmes, and looking for a solution, and so I learned about educational marketing,
Oh.
and I
Mm.
was like, this is the best thing
Mm.
ever, right? So I listened to, he does a talk with Tony Robbins. I audio read his book, like, and carried it around as a workbook for months. And so I was like, and I knew educational marketing, Jay. Like I
Mm.
became an expert,
Obsessed. Obsessed.
obsessed, and I knew that I knew it. And so, so we're floundering after losing a bunch of money in the winter of 17-18. And I'm like, I got it. I got the solution.
Yeah. The silver
And
bullet.
so I've got it. So we had these crappy um, flyers, just direct mail flyers that we would mail from the office, and they were atrocious.
Mm.
However, they got calls. We got callbacks, right?
Okay.
So as
Better than
atrocious as they
mine. Better than
were,
mine then.
yeah. I mean, it wasn't high response, but I mean, it was like we were getting calls from, and we were mailing it to our target customers, and so on. And and I was like, I got the answer. We're gonna overhaul these. We're gonna make them into educational marketing pieces, and we're gonna
On the same
mail them out
flyers.
on the same flyer. So we're
Perfect.
replacing
Just
the
like
thing that
flip them
works.
over and reprint them.
Yeah. So
I
we're gonna
love
do
it.
all new flyers. We're changing the whole thing.
Yeah.
And this is like, and I got everybody, particularly the owner, and then one other guy that I had recently hired, got them excited about it, which they got everybody else excited about it. And I was like, this is the thing. Like we're coming out of this. We're gonna make money this year. And so we did a bunch of them. And I don't
Hail
remember,
Mary. Hail Mary.
it was, and but it wasn't a Hail Mary to me. In
Right.
my
No, it was the
mind,
answer. Yeah, for sure.
in January, February of 18, this was like, I mean, this was the silver bullet. This was the thing. And I
That's.
was going to lead the charge to profitability.
I believe that's called trauma bonding.
So we literally got zero
Mm.
calls. Not one, not a few, no calls. Every day I would ask our admin, have we got any calls? No, we have not.
And did you feel yourself dying a little bit inside every time?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And the part of it too is there was a little bit of a peanut gallery that,
Oh,
like
for
they
sure.
call, there was one guy that, ended up managing him out, but he used to call me Golden Boy. So, he would talk to this other guy that would really wanted me to fail. And so like I could hear the like little chirps and things, but like for 2 months, it was just like it was quieter than crickets.
Hmm.
So I realized, of course, now I know that was, first of all, you don't ever kill the thing that's at, even if it's ugly,
Yeah.
right? Even if you don't like the way it looks, if it's working, you fucking keep running it, right?
Mm.
So you don't ever replace. So I learned that lesson the hard way. And by the way, we lost another 200 grand in 18. It was not like, so we went another 200 grand in the hole. But and so I mean, I learned a couple things. One, you don't ever kill the thing that's working, even if you don't like it.
Hmm.
And I didn't like it. I wanted to, and some of that was ego. I wanted to put my stamp on this thing. There was a little bit of that. And then if you're going to try something, if you're going to test something, you actually test it, right?
Yes. Before you
Don't,
spend on it.
yeah, don't
Yeah.
put all of your whatever resources or credit we had
Hmm.
into it. And, and that was, and it was it, it cost me some serious reputational credit, with the team,
Well,
because they just thought I was a effing idiot.
did you
And they were kind of
again?
right.
So one of the takeaways I had from my debacles was when it comes to branding and marketing and copy and stuff, like if you're not sure, don't make your own stuff, because there is a absolute like definitive art to how you create conversion content.
I
And a
wrote
lot of
every
times,
word, Jay,
yeah,
and it was
for
terrible.
for
Every
sure.
word. I thought I'm
Yeah,
gonna show
I'm
everyone what a great writer I am.
right.
And I took creative writing in high school and a little bit in college. Like I'm gonna,
Ooh. But
yeah,
instead of spending the 100 or 200 bucks it would have cost to get a printer to write stuff that already is proven and works, we
right.
spend exponentially more of our time and
Oh, dude,
resources
I had
on
so many
doing it
people
ourselves.
working
Yeah.
on this. I mean,
Yeah.
a couple $100 an hour over the
Right.
course of weeks, and I mean, it was just, yeah, we burned. It just, yeah.
It's okay. I spent an entire month walking around like a paper boy, delivering these by hand because I did not understand the scale. Like, had I just
Right.
spent the 25 cents, I would have known
Little,
quicker that it was really bad, and it probably
right,
wouldn't even got through Canada Post because they actually
right.
review it. There was no stop loss there. Like it had terrible spelling mistakes and like just words that just didn't belong. It was like a fit.
Oh, that's great.
And me too.
It
Like at
would
the
have
time, I'm
made
like,
me
this is the
so.
solution. Even if I get 3 jobs, even if I get 3 or 4 jobs, it makes it all
Oh,
worth it. Then
that's good.
this whole month I've spent to get 4 jobs. Next month I'll be busy and like I could just repeat this. It was dumb.
Right.
And what it would have
Yeah.
cost me, by the way, because I never checked. Like you can actually mail these things, right?
Right. Right.
So the grand total of what it would have cost me to mail those
Yeah.
out, $410.
Oh my God.
At the
For a
time, I
month.
did.
Oh,
At the time, I was making $700 to $800 as a roofer, but here
wow.
I am deliver. So like it hurt even more
Oof,
because
okay.
I spent all this time. So I mean, I relate to exactly how you feel, and you know what my response was, rather than just like killing it and like taking it behind the barn and shooting it. What was my response? What was my thought process after that? Must have been the areas. Did I learn my lesson? No. It took me hiring my
Oh
sister
boy.
and like a friend for
That's
them to screw
good.
around trying to deliver them to just finally until it died. We got the grand total of one estimate from over
That's
8,000
good.
flyers.
The
And I
least. It's
printed
the
them. I
least.
didn't get a printer to print them. I printed them off a dot matrix at $50 a cartridge. Printed them
Wow.
off. It just so dumb. Like oh. I
Yeah.
remember licking them and like just like
The
no
whole
no name
thing.
on
Yeah.
them, just a white envelope. Here you go. Yeah,
That's
we
good.
got to start somewhere though.
So we, yeah, I mean, hey, like, it's like, I mean, today I could, I think I speak for both of us, but I won't, I'll speak for myself. I mean, I have a lot of appreciation for those things,
Hmm.
because those are the things, because I mean, I don't think, knock on wood, I'll ever make that mistake again.
Hmm.
At least with marketing, where just, I mean, I now know, like, okay, you test stuff and you try it out, and there's a logic to this instead of going all in on it. Yeah, and that's how we get it. It's kind of, that's how we
Well,
get stronger, I mean, it's just making huge,
well,
stupid
yeah.
mistakes.
So
Right.
the pain of that, just to give you context to how marketing campaigns work. So maybe let's put it all together. I lost 15 grand. Okay, the
Yeah.
pain of that, it made me, obviously I don't take losses very well, and I knew that was a full on loss. But
Right.
what did I do following that was probably the best decision in my entire career. Was I hired a copyright for $5,000 to write
Okay.
all of my copy, my
Wow.
follow ups,
You're
every piece of it. To this day,
you're
20
really ahead of the curve on
21,
that.
yeah, 21 years later, I am
Yeah.
still
Wow.
using those emails and copies, and they have
Wow.
sold. I mean, we're over $100 million in my career easily, and every
Yeah.
one of my contacts have been used with those mailers. And again, I have a mailing campaign that we ran for years, has the same copy. It works. It always brings back the same results. So, I'm more than made up for that. And the ROI on those, because the mailers back then, it was all mail. Like we used to mail our follow-ups. We
Yep.
used to mail
Okay.
everything before email was a big thing, but they
Right.
turned into emails that I use to this day. Like we still
Right.
use them and they're effective. We still get response from them, and they work. Again, and I've tried to replace them. I've tried to improve them. Tried to write them, and I mean, again, when you test them, these ones always have worked out. So like, that bad step led me to a campaign that's got probably 100,000% ROI.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like that's a part of learning. And again, would I take it back? Absolutely not. If I hadn't learned
Right.
the value of hiring somebody that knows how to write copy, knows how to, I wouldn't have been successful in so many other areas in my
Yeah.
business.
Well,
Right.
without getting into like going down a big bunny trail,
Hmm.
there are like there is a difference between, like post traumatic stress, and there actually is post traumatic growth.
Hmm.
And because either way, that what happens after the trauma or the experience or the emotional event, whatever you want to call it, is like a choice, right?
Hmm.
And so, when we have those significant events, they live in our bodies. Like I was watching you tell that story, you
I
could
can
still
I can
feel
feel
it.
it. It's unflinching
Yeah.
from it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and when I was telling the story, I was remembering how it felt
Right.
back then to be the guy that everybody was like, "This fucking guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking. Like
Yeah.
this guy's an idiot."
Hmm.
And that feeling still, I could call that up in my body without having to do anything, just telling the
It hurts
story.
my heart.
Right. So when these things like when these so because it's in our body, we can take them and take that and use it and
Hmm.
funnel that and like point that into solutions. And because you do remember, right? We do
Right.
remember. So anyway, so let's talk about because I think one of the if we surveyed 1,000 contractors, GCs, trades, service guys, I don't think it would matter, and ask them like what their top 3 or 4 biggest problems were. I'm guessing that one of the top 5 answers is going to be I don't have enough jobs or I don't have enough leads,
Yeah,
right?
so it's actually going to be one of two things. So we have, by the way, everyone that has ever booked a call with Contractor AI is required to fill out our health assessment. By the way, anybody
Okay.
looking for that health assessment, it's very valuable. It gives you the exact
Yeah, where
synopsis of.
is that if somebody wants
Yeah,
to?
they can reach out to us on our Facebook page, anywhere where you're seeing this. It's right on our website as well, so they can go there, take the assessment. It takes 3 minutes to do, and it gives you a game plan. It gives you your next few steps, and based on where you are in your business, really valuable.
Yeah.
But we use all that data to really understand how we help our customers succeed. And the number one thing that we see, all right, the number one
The
problem,
number one.
the core problem that we see in
Okay.
terms of,
Yeah.
and we've got thousands of people that have taken it, is they don't realize that lead generation is actually the symptom of something bigger. Okay.
Okay.
And ironically, these guys also have a problem with acquiring new staff, acquiring the right guys. Like those
Mm.
problems inherently
Yeah.
go together. And
Yeah.
what I'm anxious to tell everyone, and anxious to really drive home with everyone, and a lesson I had to learn, through many of these failures and ups and downs, is the process of developing a marketing campaign, and the process of really positioning your business to have consistency with leads flow. So just getting leads is not the answer to the problem. It's actually
Right.
very dangerous. And all contractors that I've encountered so far on this, with the exception of literally one guy that really knew his stuff, had a marketing
Okay.
background that came in, into the contracting business,
Hmm.
um, is they start with, I need to get leads.
Right.
All right. That's a mistake. That's a big mistake. All right.
Why is that a mistake?
Here's the
Why?
problem, because they don't understand what their core offer is. So here's an example. Not understanding and have a differentiated offer to the market means that you're going to compete as commodity. Okay.
Right.
Very difficult when someone has more money than you to spend
Right.
on advertising and more
Yeah.
developed, and it forces you out of opportunities. So for example, not having a differentiated, ad. We'll use the simplest form. So hey, you want to run some Facebook ads, you want to run some Google ads. If you are trusting an agency to do that for you, all they're doing is taking the success of another campaign they ran for another person
Right.
that will probably be in your area and
Right.
rerunning the same
Just
message and the
changing the
same
name,
offer.
changing the
Right.
logo. Yeah.
So what a lot of contractors don't realize is that that actually, what you say and how you say it, 3 words can be the difference between landing your dream prospect and, a tire kicker.
Which
Okay.
I think is terrifying, Jay.
Right. It is, but it's true. We've
Terrifying.
seen it. We've seen it. I've shown it to you. Like, you can see the difference between,
Yeah.
what a copy can change
Oh
in
yeah.
one thing.
We've
Right.
seen it for sure. Yeah.
And again, I would say that all marketing is a game won by inches. Okay. So being
Yeah.
fractionally better than your competitor in a certain area, say it's ads. All right. Fractionally, by the time you measure that out over time, that literally will mean you are the market, category king versus being the low ball guy. Right.
Right.
So here's my number one thing. Know who you're actually doing business. Pick a lane. All right. And don't dilute your marketing spend. So again, when guys go out and first try to acquire leads, you're setting yourself up for immediate almost automatic failure. Okay. And the reason why is because they don't understand their core offer, what it is exactly specifically that makes them unique, that gives them an advantage over everybody else. All right. They don't know who they're exactly targeting. That's a big mistake. Because in this world of noise and volume and everything, just throwing an ad out there is not going to get you success. And especially because that customer coming in may not be the customer you serve best. And you don't know, you're not connected to that message. And then what happens is you get into the job or you get into the client, and you've said something earlier in your marketing message that you don't provide or you don't support coming through. And it sets this whole big mess up. And then a lot of guys fail purely at marketing because they don't know they don't know the core problem that the client has and how they solve it, and they give up too soon. So a lot of guys are essentially looking at, and I'm going to show you a roadmap real quickly here to kind of add some clarity to this.
And then I want to unpack that too a little bit.
Sure. So what I find a lot is when I ask a contractor, what is it that you do? And here, I'm going to throw up this roadmap here just so we're on the same message. Now, here's the thing, guys. I've set these up for hundreds and hundreds of contractors. The process never changes. Okay. The reason why it never changes is this is the fundamental framework for being successful in marketing at anything that you want to put on the market. You want to sell a pencil, you want to sell a pen, you're going to still think the same things. First is, who am I directing this at? Okay. If you can't tell me very precisely, exactly, is it a high-end client? What's their net worth? What's their lifestyle like? All of those questions, what you're going to find is that you're trying to be too many things to too many people. All right. It's not going to give you enough of an advantage or a differentiation that people will consistently call you. Right. Makes sense? So again, and you might be actually repelling your ideal prospect and attracting the one you don't want. So the biggest one I see is there's an overwhelming volume of price shoppers. Okay. If I went out and said, hey, I'm the very best contractor in the market, I do quality work like everybody else, blah, 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 and I do it at the lowest possible price. Who do you think is going to respond to that? Right. So again, here starts the problem. Now, I'm also doing that alongside of multiple other contractors, right? Or worse, I'm using somebody like Angie's List or a lead generating service that's selling the lead to 6 other people that don't give you an opportunity to differentiate yourself. You're now stuck competing on price. Okay. That's a losing game. There's no winning. There's no coming out of that in a good position. And again, if we're going to market ourselves, we need to know from top to bottom. This goes into core values, vision for your company. Like, it has so much reach. And here's really, this is my solidifying point on this. A good core offer can still scale without marketing at all, right? Yeah. It can scale no matter what. A bad core offer, it doesn't matter how much marketing you do, it will not scale.
Right.
All right. It does. You could be the best marketer in the world. A pig's a pig. You can put lipstick on it, but it's still a pig. Right. So this is what I wish guys would stop before they hire agencies, before they look for leads. And then the other part of it is when you know who to speak to, you also need to know where they are in their buying decision and making, and design a system that speaks to them at the right time, in the right place. Right. And again, I bring it back to a simple framework here. You need to know a very specific person that has a very specific problem that you can solve in a very specific way. Why? Because that is value, right? So you see, SSS equals value. All right.
Okay.
The more specific you can be, the more you can speak directly to the person that will appreciate the value that you bring. All right. So again, I can use this as a metaphor. If you're trying to sell a Honda Civic, all right, you're going
Okay.
to use a certain language and tone to that car. You're not going to say this is a Lamborghini, and
Right.
we know it's a
Right.
Honda Civic, right? The
Right.
two consumers are not the same. The guy that buys the Lamborghini is
Right.
dramatically different than the
Very
guy that's
different.
buying the Honda Civic.
Right.
Okay, but too many guys are going out and advertising their Honda Civic, all right, as, or maybe they do have a Lamborghini. They have a Lamborghini of service, but they're selling it at a Honda Civic price. The
Right.
economies of scales don't work, and it's a mismessaging that pushes away their ideal client, all right, and invites the opposite, right? And then they get frustrated and they quit rather than fixing the core problem, which is if the offer is not clear as day, if you're not sure you can deliver that value and you don't know your client journey every bit of the way, you are setting yourself up to forever be in your business, number one. All right, because it just creates chaos. It creates misunderstandings. It creates communication errors, and you can't pick a lane. All right, so again, guys that are out there, besides some general contractors that are well organized, but guys that I see that are really roofers, all right, that
Mhm.
haven't even got their roofing offer correct, but they're offering windows, doors. They just keep grabbing at new things and new things. The reality is you're watering down your marketing reach and engagement, and you're actually pushing away value shoppers that are looking for their problem to be solved a specific way.
Right. So let's go back to because I think um I want to unpack the core offer part.
Sure,
If we can do that.
absolutely.
Because I think we all know what we do,
Hmm.
right? We know we're good at. Um, but maybe like, so I'll use, myself as an example. So again, we had, a few core competencies, right? We were, our primary, where most of our revenue came from was pressure washing,
Hmm.
duct pointing, replacement, brickstone, mostly brick and stone, a little bit of block, and then caulking, and then there was a kind of few other things in there. So like that was our business, right?
Hmm.
Um, what's the difference between that, right?
Yeah,
Our core competencies and core offer.
that's the service that you offer. Okay, so the services
Yeah.
you offer is not your core offer. Your core offer is I help building owners maintain their buildings by pressure washing XYZ. Like, you're going to offer your services, you're going to find the pain points of why they would call you. All right, like this is what we call it, and it's got layers to it. All right, so the idea of a core offer is it calls out very specifically the person that's going to like your ideal prospect. All right, it says to them, and it's not talking at them. All right, it's not
Okay.
blasting information. Oh, I do this and I'm quality. Like, those things are expected. Okay,
Right.
what is it like? What is their real true pain points? What is their the true things that they're concerned about? What's keeping them up at night? Why would they call you over the other guy? All right, and it's taking all of those human, the way that we make buying decisions. Like, why would they be calling
Okay.
you? What problems do you solve? All
Right.
right, so for example, like saying I do power washing. Well, that's generic. It's not
Right.
deep enough. Why do you do power washing? Who do you do it for? Okay, and what gives you authority over the next guy that says they do power washing? Well, maybe
Right.
use a unique piece of equipment and you're able to do it in one day, or versus, like, there's all these other factors that when you
Right.
research and you
Right.
start off by actually starting an offer where you go into a market and you see, hey, and this is where the testing part comes in. Like, does the market actually need this service? Right?
Right.
Is the demand there? Is there
Right.
a common problem that they all communicate about where they don't
Right.
like? So again, surveying your clients, like, hey, what do you wish contractors would do? Maybe it's better communication. So you would add that to your core offer, and you would include that hey, we're the best communicating company in the market. How do we do
Yeah.
that? Well, we keep a 24/7 line of communication open. We provide like up to date, real time live photos of the work being done. We have a follow up process. We make sure that we, if it's a third party that maybe is at the property, like a renter or something, like we make sure we schedule with them, and like, this is total peace of mind for you. and you don't have to be involved or spend any of your time, right? Like that,
Right.
again, in a roundabout way, that would be an offer that would now stand out. So when
Right.
someone asks you what you do, you would explain, like, I help commercial building owners
Right.
maintain their properties through power washing,
Yeah.
tuck pointing, and blah
Yeah.
blah
There
blah.
you go.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So
And
now
that's a core offer.
that is a core offer. And now think about how that resonates with your staff, right? Like, ask your guys what you do. They're going to tell you, oh, we do roofing.
Right.
We're a builder. Great.
Right.
Well, who do you help? Like, who do you specifically help? Are you building for, shelters, or, non-for-profits, or are you building high-end luxury homes? Like, what is it that you do? And again, think about what people imagine in their mind. Okay. So when I say something, about us, like in our core offer, it's meant to excite the person that would need those services. So it's meant to repel the people immediately that I don't want to do business with. So a low end price shopper looking for a cheap roof, there is nothing in the language I use that says I am a cheap roofer. If you want to slap a roof on, come call me. In fact, it says the opposite, right? We deal with luxury homes, high end consumers. We install lifetime metal roofs manufactured on site. Again, we're locally crafted. Like it goes through a set of language, and we specifically call out the person we serve the best. And guess what? Within fractions, we deal with the same client day in and day out, the same problem, same objection, same everything. So that's how I've been able to systemize the sales process, the marketing process, but more importantly, aligning my values, my direction, my vision for the company. I've been able to align that with my staff. Now, asking them, they know, right?
They know the answer.
They know. It's simple.
So if I was gonna put this like on a bumper sticker,
Mhm.
core offer is what we do, and one or a couple of the ways it solves our ideal customers'
That's
problems.
all
Right?
it is a core offer is how you solve a specific problem for a specific person, a
Yeah,
specific way.
because I think it's Jay. Because I've heard that for years now, and
Mm-hmm.
even now, even with the substantial, like I understanding substantially more about marketing and sales than I did even a couple of years ago. Some of that thanks to you, and yet, like, still, when I hear core offer, sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
"Man, what is that again?" So I think it's helpful to have like a little bit of a, like a little bit of
Refresher.
like, yeah, like, okay, it's what we do and the significant benefit, and then of course, if there's some part of that that's unique,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm just gonna go back to the masonry business. So, be like, well, we power wash, we tuck point, and we do, we replace, do brick and stone replacement.
Great.
Um,
That's the service that you offer. But again, now,
that
what is
and
it that
those
you
things,
do?
yeah, I was gonna say, and those things, bring, restore the structural integrity as well as improving the overall look.
Mm-hmm.
And we do those to whether it's is or not, we do those to historical standards.
So that's your differentiator, right there. So we do
Right.
historical tuck pointing, power
Right.
washing, for buildings that are historical, a value, right? That differentiates you from the guy that says I do power washing. Because does the guy
Right.
that owns a historical building that knows that it requires a certain skill set, does he want to hire just any power washer?
No,
No.
he does not.
Right.
Definitely not. Not if
So
that's happening. Right.
then again, if you're really keen and you're serious about improving your offer. Now here's the other thing. Your core offer gets developed, and I always recommend every 3 months you look at that core offer, because as the markets change and as your competitors change, you have to continue to develop it. And it's a moving live thing. So for example, right, let's say you're doing that for an historic restoration, service. Okay.
Right.
We do tuck pointing, we do, those things. And we found our clients. And then a new player moves into the market and he's stolen your call to action. Now to differentiate
Okay.
yourself, right? So now we're
Yeah.
going to look at his business. We're going to do what we call a SWOT. I do them all the time. And it's your responsibility as an owner to your business to be consistently looking at what the market's offering. Okay. The reason
Yes.
why
Agreed.
is that you're going to find the gap. You're going to find the place where they don't hold up or they don't stand up. And here's a hint: go to their reviews, look at the unhappy reviews, look at the happy reviews, take
Yeah.
take the bottom line, what they didn't do or what they're failing at. That's their weakness. Find their
Right.
strengths. Between that is the gap, right? So
Yeah.
again, you're going to now redesign your message to say, hey, on top of that, we provide world-class customer service. Now, if you're really serious, I want you to think about this. The client journey, all right, from the marketing to the last, referral and everything else. That's a full circle. Okay, that's a full loop. You should always be closing the loop. So if you're losing a client somewhere along the way in the client journey, it means that, again, when you compartmentalize that journey, you're going to start to see where your weaks and strengths are. So again, if customer service is a weakness, first place you're going to start, go and look at what's been put out and what the customer was told in the first place in the messaging, right from the ad. If you went in and said, I'm an historical, like certified historical restoration guy, and you show up with a guy with a Canadian Tire power washer and no ladder, like they're gonna have some thoughts about you, right? You know what I mean? But this happens all the time. Like again, you can present yourself as a knight in shining armor, but if you're not living up to that message and don't understand the importance of meeting that expectation, and this is the way it's going to come out. One, the customer is going to be very disappointed and start to find things. Okay. Right. They're going to be calling, they're going to be messaging. You're going to be like, what the hell? I'm doing the job. It's not just doing the job. It's delivering the solution they had in their mind, the outcome they were looking at. So they imagined a team of, uniform guys showing up with, a truck with a great big power washer on it. And like, they wanted to see like professionalism at like they hadn't seen before. That was what they were sold in the messaging. And then you show up and disappoint them. This is where it's going to come out. They're not going to want to. They're going to want to debate the bill. They're going to say you did damage. They're going to find ways because they feel that you have lied to them. And you're not. They're not going to say that up front. But again, how many guys are having these experiences? How many guys are like, hey, like I couldn't get paid. And I always, when I hear that, I'm like, okay, well, where'd you break your promise? Where did you break? Where did it break down? And where did the communication go off? So let's just put this into perspective. Your core offer, call it your contract, call it your bond, call it your word to your customer. Okay. You're setting the tone, but it also is connected to your values. Like, again, if your value is to do a high level service for a high level client, a specific person, specific problem, right? And you're not living up to that, and honesty and integrity is your core value. Well, there's your problem. Right. And your staff see it. Everyone else, you can't lead a company like that.
No, there's a cost there, isn't it?
There's a huge cost. And the cost comes back to you over and over again. The good news on this is when companies get this right, okay, these offers start to scale themselves. Because again, like I said, once you get a few customers through, you don't need a lot of traffic. You don't need a lot of those lead companies anymore, because word of mouth goes a long way. Yes. And then you should never be fully dependent on it. But here's the thing. If you learn how to attract and spend, you don't have to spend a ton of money if you've got a really good offer and you're pulling in the exact customer that you want to do business with, that pays you well, that values your service, that you align with, core values and like as a person, right? And you will see a lot of the problems you're currently experiencing, inconsistencies. You'll have a lineup of people waiting. And you've now got leads on demand with the ideal customers. And that's the real dream that everybody should be going after, because that brings the freedom. That brings the options.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was part of my experience, was that we, like, the first thing we did was get clear on what we would do and really clear on what we would not do.
That's right.
And part of that was who we would bid to or quote, and who we would not. And that list got not list, but that who it was very specific. And that meant like immediately ruling out half of the, half of the leads that were coming at us through, the estimator inbox and all these other things, people calling from GCs and whatever else. And of course you'd think, oh my God, what do you do? Like, how are you going to survive when you are, killing all those leads? But the reality was that we had fewer leads, but we closed more
higher conversions.
A lot higher. And then
for more money.
we made a ton more money, and we went from losing almost 900,000 over 2 years to then making almost a million the
Hmm.
very next year, and then doing that again and again. And yeah, I mean, it was a radical transformation that started with, we're not going to bid to these guys. We're
That's
not going
right.
to bid this work. So we don't want public prevailing wage. We don't
Yep.
want, and I mean, even like I had like a, well, I know it's an avatar now, but I had like a demograph. Like I was like, architects that are a pain in the ass. No, hard pass, not doing it. Right. Because they were such a nightmare. And then, on these big jobs, they, here in the States anyway, like they can hold up your check, hold up your payment. So,
Hmm.
because they were nitpicking about this and that, the other thing. So we had, the punchline is fewer leads, but I mean, my personal, like my average, I don't remember what it was in the first couple of years, but it was probably 50,000 a job, and it went to like almost 280, my average contract size. And again, we were printing money.
Right.
So it's extremely profitable. And, we did get clear. I mean, I didn't understand it as core offer when I was doing it, but, we were, we understood what our competencies were, the value we brought, and there was a lot of clarity amongst the team about what that was.
Yep.
So like, so I say that to say it's not just about it's not about volume of leads,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
It's about quality of leads.
And,
And
and it's about servicing those leads. Don't think your job has stopped at just getting the leads, or your job
right,
is stopped. It's about the whole experience from start to
right,
finish. You're
right.
responsible, and the outcome is entirely on you. From start to finish. Hold on, just a. I got an intruder again.
Jeez.
I gotta lock that door more often.
That's great. We interrupt this program
All right. With
for a short break with Jay's daughter. So while you're doing that, while you're
No, I got it.
playing with your
Yeah.
ringer, so it's, yeah, it's getting, so it's a couple of things, which obviously, again, I mean, again, I'm speaking from my own experience, Jay. Like that was overwhelming for me, because
Hmm.
it was not, marketing was not, has not historically been something I thought, oh yeah, like I own this. I really understand. I understood sales. Even though I wasn't really a salesperson, I understood it and I thought I could be good at it, mostly because I was process oriented. But I never felt like I had high competency when it came to marketing, and so it was always like really intimidating to me.
Hmm.
Again, less so now, but I remember just being like overwhelmed by, you know, all of this stuff, like who are we trying to get, and then avoiding I mean, the nightmare customers aren't necessarily nightmare people. They're
Right.
just the wrong person for you, right? And I
Right.
learned that the hard way. um so I guess, to maybe like kind of put a punctuation on this today. Um so in a nutshell, it's, and this is not anything new. We talk about this a lot, but it's knowing, who your ideal customer is, because your
Hmm.
ideal customer is going to be a couple of things. One, they're going to like working with you more, right? And you are going to feel the same, generally speaking. Two, like you're going to make more money,
Hmm.
right? Generally speaking. Three, that person is going to be much more inclined to refer other customers like themselves
Correct.
to come back and buy again, depending on what kind of work you're doing, and to say nice things about you online if you ask them and have a system
And
for that,
and
right?
there's one more aspect to that. You are going to spend less time selling, more
Right,
more time, again, in other
right,
areas of your business,
yeah,
because once you know what your customer directly wants, the fears, the pain points, all of those things. It's rinse and repeat, and
right,
you can systemize. You know where the touch points need to be.
right,
And it goes all the way down to the field. You know how to deliver that work. What specific rules there are to doing it. I mean, don't be saying
right,
you're a high end, installer and showing up with guys that are ununiformed and look like slobs and, like, are
right,
are look like they've drug addicts. Like, I mean, like
Right.
that's
Yeah.
not going to speak to, and it plays into your brand. It plays into everything else.
Right.
But how do you build a brand without a core offer? What are you building it around? Right.
And
So,
I think, yeah.
and it's one-on-one. I think this is the true reason. And again, think about how it affects cash flow. Like, you don't know the client journey, how many days it
Right.
takes you to like
Right.
actually process a job. If it's all over the place, you have a offer problem.
Right.
Because again, you shouldn't be asking for clients, or you shouldn't be attracting clients that are, going to have jobs that take 120 days if you have a cash
Right.
flow problem,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So again,
No,
like, it
yeah.
touches every single aspect of your business, whether you
Right.
realize it or accept it or not, right?
Right.
So let me make a shameless plug.
Sure.
Here's how we can help solve the problem. Number
Yes.
one, we have free classes every Thursday. Right now, we're actually going through Pro Marketer AI at a high level, where you can come and learn some more hands-on. I'll give you the tools, the steps, the workbooks, all of it, as if I was your coach, and you can try and figure it out on your own. Okay,
And
or
Pro Marketer
done with you, I should say.
Pro
Or
Marketer AI is our, what is that?
yeah, it's our marketing offer. So I mean, it's our introductory offer. Again, anybody that's interested, just check us out on our website, book a call, we'll explain it to you. But it's 9 steps. Okay, you don't need to be a marketing genius for it. You don't need to actually have
Right.
any marketing experience at all. All right, which you do need to have if you're doing it with us. So again, showing up, doing the work, like that will get you, a better understanding of it. Or
Right.
vice versa, if you want to go fast and get it done and get this in place and have this problem solved, we will solve it for you. Okay. And I'm not
Right.
talking about selling you leads. I don't do that. I'm not although we can generate leads for you, but if you don't have a core offer or something that is differentiated, and I know that we've done our due diligence, we know that offer is going to scale. I won't teach you how to generate leads, because that's only going to break
Right.
your customer. If I know your product's not profitable, if I know, like, there's a
Oh,
lot,
it's just going to be a nightmare. Yeah. Right.
I'm not doing you any favors.
Right.
Okay, I'm
Right.
actually hurting you, because getting more
Right.
work on a bad offer is not the answer. That will
Yeah.
that will destroy you. Okay.
Right.
The reality here is we need something that's scalable. So scalable
Right.
is not scaling, just to be clear. Scalable is taking something that is solid to begin with, all right, adding the system and process to it so that it runs consistently and with the
Right.
least amount of time and effort and energy put into it.
So folks can, so a couple things. So for folks that are listening to this and going, that's interesting, and realizing, oh, I have that problem, or I
Mm-hmm.
have one of those problems. Hopefully not the problems we were talking about with the first part of the live stream, but again, I think it's from doing it myself, and now, having, buddies that are, in the trenches every day. It's a consistent challenge for us, for contractors. So depending on, no matter where you are in this thing where you're like, ah, that's something I need to work on, or, for some of you, it's like, not only do I need to work on this, but like, I need to put some money behind this. Like, I need to
Mm-hmm.
take the next step.
I want it solved.
Yeah, whether, regardless of where you are on that, every Thursday at 3 o'clock, Jay does free training. So you just, it's on our channels, but if you want, if you want to participate in that, that's available. It's available to, which is the next part of this, to members of our community. So
Mm-hmm.
it's free. And I mean, we're, almost, I don't know, somewhere between 700-800 people now, which is awesome. And it's an active community of contractors only,
That's right.
only contractors. There's no people, there's no telemarketers in there trying to
Right.
sell you filet
No
knives.
marketing
Like,
companies.
yeah, it's just contractors. So to all of our community members in our contracting community, every week there's free training. If you're kind of down the, like, if you're down the path, or you're kind of farther along and you're like, I need help now, or, or you've tried other stuff that hasn't worked, we've got that too. So
And if you want to
we're just
go
like,
from, again, if you're moving from a 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure contractor, again, it only makes sense to get somebody that's an expert at doing these things, that's
right.
done it, to come in
I was
and,
gonna
and do
say,
it
we're
for
doing
you.
it right now. I
It
mean,
skips you decades to days. What took me a
yeah,
decade to figure out on my own, and not. And remember, when I say that, like, I had agencies, I had marketing companies
right,
promise me the world and deliver me garbage. That's what
right.
forced me to learn that that's not my problem, right?
Insane, yeah,
it's pain, right? So if you want to learn from my pain, decades of pain, all right, and
Right.
avoid it, I mean, this is the option for you. And if you're truly serious, and again, I'm going to make this really clear because sometimes there's confusion. If you are growth minded, right? If you are a contractor who's growth minded,
Right.
comfortable with change, all
Right.
right,
It's
and that
important.
are willing to do the work right now and invest in
Right.
yourself, those are the people I'd like to be discussing our offer
Yeah.
with. If you
Yeah.
are not there yet, that's okay. I want to help you
Yeah.
get there. All right.
Right.
But those aren't the people that I book calls with. If you're still,
Right.
again, not clear on, where the direction is of your company, and you're still finding your position, or if you are in the mind that you should do it yourself,
Join the
cool.
group. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to give
Let's join
you
the
as
group.
much value as I possibly can.
Yeah.
But just to be clear, my avatar and who I help contractors looking to scale 7 to 8 figures that have a growth mindset, that are
Right.
willing to invest in themselves.
Right. Boom.
Okay.
That's right. Yes. So, a lot of stuff today, a lot of really good stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to really quickly recap. So, you know, we talked about a lot, and again, it's there's a few key things here. One, it's really knowing who your target customer, ideal customer is, knowing your core offer, which we've spent time talking about. I'm not going to get into that. And then, of course, having a way of reaching them that is cost effective and gets to them and gets them to you. So, and that's what we're talking about, or what, excuse me, Jay is talking about every Thursday, and it's the conversation that we're having in the group right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you want interested in the group, you can click the links, and it's very easy to join. It's on our main link, which is a Link Hub link. And again, if you want to book a call, there's a way to do that as well through Link Hub. But either of those are options depending on where you're at. So, do what works for you, and we'll see you on the other side. As for the live stream today, thank you for being with us. We always appreciate, we look at the numbers to see how many people are watching live and on replay, and from the emails and the different places that we're putting this. And I just want to say, on both of our behalves, we really appreciate every single person that watches and or comments and or joins or interacts with us somehow from this, because we take time every week to do it, and we do it because we believe in it, and we believe what we're talking about and what we're doing as far as the mission. So thanks for hanging out with us for a minute, and see you next week.